How could the sitcom style of WandaVision be linked to Wanda's traumatic childhood? What weird manipulation could be behind Westview's obsession with Wanda's twins? What did those random in-show commercials tell us about Wanda's ongoing battle with reality? Hi, I'm Clive, and we're breaking down the hidden details, Easter eggs, and references in Marvel's WandaVision. So, let's get right to it. The sitcom setting explained. In the Marvel series, Wanda plays a stay-at-home wife while Vision is a working husband. From the jump, the show borrows tropes from a lot of famous sitcoms charting through the 50s down to the 80s. A majority of the show's references contained episodes that predominantly took place in the characters' homes. In shows such as Dennis the Menace and Hazel, wives stayed at home while husbands and dads set off to go to work, while the description of what they do is left up in the air, which explains this moment.
What it is we do here exactly.
But why does this fictional reality take place through a series of sitcoms anyway? Well, a bit of backstory and a couple Easter eggs hint at the ultimate answer. Avengers Age of Ultron introduced the cinematic world to Wanda and her brother Pietro, aka Quicksilver, two Sokovia-born twins who were experimented on by the corrupt organization HYDRA. And this is where we theorize that an idolization of suburban living came from for Wanda. Seeing the kind of simplistic and happy life women seem to be living on American television must have been something Wanda loved while watching TV growing up. There is a suggestion that classic sitcoms such as The Brady Bunch, The Dick Van Dyke Show, and Leave It to Beaver created the normal life that Wanda wanted for herself. However, she could never experience anything close to that. How could she have while being detained and turned into a superhuman weapon by Marvel's HYDRA, which we know is an organization that's always been obsessed with world domination. Furthermore, many of her outfits mimic those of suburban housewives from classic sitcoms too. The house dress with the pearl necklace look is inspired by June Cleaver from Leave It to Beaver, while their house and backyard in the 4th episode is designed after the Brady's home in The Brady Bunch. It's really a tapestry of nostalgia, not just for viewers, but maybe for Wanda too. But there are a few more classic tropes that the show explores. The next one involves their odd neighbor, Agnus. Agnus, a manipulative witch? The nosy neighbor trope is one of the great staples in classic sitcom series such as Full House and Bewitched. Kathryn Hahn's characters seem to be playing that role to a T. But if you pay closer attention to Agnus, you might come to realize that she's a little more than she appears. In the first episode we meet her, Agnus visits Wanda and Vision while wearing a brooch and a cape in her suburban house outfit. While this may at first look like a simple fashion choice, all signs are pointing to the idea that Agnus may actually be Agatha Harkness from the comic books. Agatha is known as an actual witch who lived through the Salem witch days, but she's most notably known in the comics for being the person who showed Wanda how to use and control her powers. The theory about her being a witch also gains traction when we first see her signature brooch in color in episode 3. If you look deeper into it, you'll notice that there is a symbol of what seems like 3 figures who could represent 3 witches. This possibly symbolizes the 3 Norns from Norse mythology. Their role is to oversee the destinies of gods and mortals in different realms. This may seem a little random, but it actually wouldn't be the first time they've been mentioned in the MCU. In a deleted Age of Ultron scene, the Norns give Thor a vision about the Infinity Gauntlet and the Mind Stone being placed in Vision's head.
I've had a vision. A whirlpool that sucks in all hope of life, and at its center is that.
In the deleted scene, we even get a chance to hear them speak.
We count the dead, and they are legion.
This doesn't mean that Agnus is one of the Norns though, but it could mean that she's actually an agent for them, who is in this reality serving the real villain's agenda. And given how often she places the stress of Wanda having children, there is a suggestion about that being her ultimate plan. Could Wanda's twins save or destroy the world? Agnus seems to have a lot of weird interests in Wanda having kids of her own. In the 2nd episode, she's the first to suggest the idea of a life with children for the super couple.
What about seduction techniques?
But it's not just Agnus who has an obsession with children. It seems like the whole of Westview shares the craze of kids.
For the children.
For the children.
For the children.
For the children.
And it is all
For the children.
But not even kindergarten teachers are this hyped about children, so why is this whole town that Wanda supposedly created so mad about them? Between Wanda, S.W.O.R.D, which is the watchdog for superhuman activity, and the people of Westview, no one's actually sure about who is in full control of this warped reality. One thing that is clear, however, is that the residents of Westview are doing anything they can to keep Wanda from questioning her reality, and they're doing this by entertaining it. Agnus is the chief perpetrator here, and the obsession behind why she wants Wanda to have kids so bad is because she might have been sent to plant the idea in Wanda's head. This theory goes back to the comic books too. In the Scarlet Witch comic series, the aforementioned Agatha Harkness, potentially Agnus in the MCU, provides Wanda with the ability to imagine her own children so that she can live out the perfect suburban life she's always wanted. But later on in the story, Wanda realizes that children aren't real. Agatha resorts to wiping all of Wanda's memories of her children, but this doesn't go over so well. Eventually, Wanda remembers that her mind has been manipulated, which leads to a wild massacre of mutants fueled by her anger. But the real shocking revelation there is that Wanda's twins were actually made from shards of the soul of a Marvel villain named Mephisto, who is a devil-like villain from the comic book universe. Perhaps Agnus is manipulating Wanda into having children that will spark the return of Mephisto through those shards. Or better yet, Agnus might see Wanda's children as a saving grace for the people of Westview and the rest of the world from Mephisto. Either way, it does explain why everyone is so concerned with Wanda never breaking the reality she's created for herself. Her fake life might be a vessel that either destroys or even saves the world. Only time will tell, of course. And speaking of time, what the wacky commercials mean. Throughout the series, you'll notice a lot of in-show ads through mid-show commercials or even newspapers. While the TV commercials are more invasive and obvious, ads in calendars and newspapers are more subtle. Like this one with a caption that reads, "All a little girl wants is a color television." It's impossible to not notice the classic in-show commercials that raise way more questions with each one that we see. But if you paid close attention, you'll realize that time is one of the recurring themes in each commercial. All these ads have one vital thing in common: time. Time seems to truly be of the essence when it comes to the wild WandaVision plot. There's the Hydra-themed watch called Struker, which is named after the man who initially gave Wanda her powers. There's also the Countdown Stark toaster, complete with Stark branding that you might have missed the first time around. And there's also the Hydra Soak product, which does emphasize something related to time.
Hydra Soak. Find the goddess within.
It advertises the idea of a woman immersing herself in a Hydra product as a form of suspended and endless escapism, which could mean that Hydra is possibly the organization responsible for mind-controlling Wanda and trapping the people of Westview in her warped reality. All these commercials could nudge at the idea that audiences are kind of brainwashed into buying products they see on television. And Hydra, or whoever is in control, is cleverly using commercials to brainwash her into forgetting about the past and telling Wanda to focus on the fake present. That might explain why, in the second episode, Wanda is almost pulled out of the reality through a radio transmission, which is also a clock. It carries a symbolic meaning because time is also one thing Wanda and Vision didn't have right before she had to destroy the Mind Stone buried in Vision's forehead.
We are out of time.
Could it be that Wanda voluntarily turned to Hydra? Or even a witch like Agnus to afford herself more time with the love of her life? It's all certainly possible. With a few more episodes to go, we're sure more questions will be answered. Or maybe more will be raised. Either way, we'll stick around to see for ourselves. If you want to get into more Marvel theories, check out our Loki video and see what more hidden MCU info you can pick up. And as usual, stay awesome.